Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and today we are talking about the protests in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and all around America in response to the recent killing of Renee Good, a mother in Minnesota. Uh, yeah, man, we got to talk about it because it is pretty much the central problem in America now. It's representative of the issue we are all facing with ICE, which is that we have poorly trained, even in this case, a 12-year veteran who was themselves poorly trained the entire time, um, immoral, uh, uh, savages, basically, in our border patrol. Now, listen, this is not to suggest that there is no place in a country for specifically a government agency that patrols the borders. But this is so illustrative of what's wrong with America because the business of Renee Good, whatever it was, has nothing to do with border security, nothing at all. And border security is merely the most recent excuse being used by the administration to overstep its boundaries. And that's an insultingly sterilized way to say it. So let me try again, but to be a little more blunt with you. To assault U.S. citizens. Now, if you feel that ICE are the good guys, let me point out to you the reality that we're dealing. We're gonna go to the live let's go to live protest now. Let me do this a little bit out of order. This is what's happening around the country, and then I'll tell you why it's happening. And you may agree, you may not agree, but first, let's start with what's happening. This is what's happening. In cities all around America, people are coming out to the streets to mourn Renee Good and the others killed by ICE. I believe there have been 4 U.S. citizens killed by ICE so far. No matter what excuse somebody tries to provide for these killings, at the end of the day, it's 4 dead Americans. That is America not safer. If the killing of Americans is necessary for your plan to make America safer, no offense, but we're going to go to somebody else for their plans to make America safer because this ain't it. We don't do blood magic. We don't do sacrifices. But I'm not going to ask you just to look at the where we are. Let's talk about how we got here. This reporting is by NBC News, but you don't need to be a fan of NBC to get value from it. That's what's neat about news. It's just a collection of facts. In this case, I'm pulling this up for the ICE killing on video and for what Trump said about it. Let's start by looking at what Trump said about it, because I think that's how a lot of you, no offense, but that's how a lot of you are approaching this. It's just an assessment of the order of events. So likely you'll hear about it from the president first and then see the information after he's told you how to feel about it. I'm asking you to clear your hearts and your minds and look at this earnestly. If you recall our previous conversations, I'm asking us all, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I'm asking us to be honest about our leaders so we are not trapped in this eternal back and forth between two con artists, basically. The Democrat and Republican parties are just a collection of criminals, as far as I'm concerned. Trump, in a social media post hours after the Wednesday morning shooting, said the driver, later identified as Renee Good, violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. Let me repeat. What Trump told you happened was that Renee Good violently, willfully, and viciously, that's basically the same as violently, ran over the ICE officer. Trump said, if I recall from this post, that he witnessed the video. So he saw what I'm going to show you in a minute. I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, said Trump. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. Okay, so where would he get this information? Obviously. What makes it obvious? She wasn't, incidentally. To my knowledge, there are no professional agitators, but certainly that lady was not. She was, at least a couple of the people that were there were interviewed. They were neighbors, but this is beside the point. And the woman driving was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, so intentionally, he says, ran over the ICE officer. So if you just listen to what Trump said, and he said, oh, he seems to have shot her in self-defense. Okay, so Trump said, he viewed the video, so you don't have to. If you're a decent human being that likes not see excuse me, let me try it again. That prefers to not see a woman die, then you don't have to watch the video. Don't worry, your president watched the video for you. And that president said that upon looking at the video, which again, you don't have to now that the president did, the ICE officer was ran over. So by that language, you would assume that the car went over the human, right? Oh, that does sound brutal. That sounds terrifying. Well, gosh, and willfully, so she was aiming for him. So she was basically using her car as a weapon to try to kill this guy. And then to save his own life, he had to kill her. So it sounds like it was him or her, really. And I don't know how you can expect the ICE agent to make any other decision than to survive. to go home and see his own immigrant wife. If you didn't know, he's married to an immigrant. Here's the video. Here's the video. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, surely I can go full screen with this, though. Ah, yes. So here is the actual video. Now, bear in mind what Trump said you're going to see. And here's what happened. 57 seconds. Neighbors seeing ice. That's the aftermath. Oh, no. Big crash. How do we get there? Oh, let's skip over the blood. Okay. So you see that a maroon car is pulling out in front of Renee Good's car. Oh, excuse me. No. A car is pulling out and Renee Good stops to let it by. I suppose that was an ICE car that pulled out quickly like that. Okay, so Renee Good stopped her car to let another car by. ICE comes up. Now, I'm going to pause right here. This person getting out of their car has no jurisdiction over the person who is in their car. This is an agent of border enforcement. And Minneapolis, Minnesota has, it'll shock you, mostly U.S. citizens. Without a warrant, you don't have a right to spot check somebody's citizenship. So this person currently, no jurisdiction to do what they're doing, walks up to the car, look at that, reaches in immediately. So first thing this masked person does, this masked armed person does, reaches into the car, escalates, tries to pull it open. She backs up. Oh, you see the gun's already out? Look where her tires are turned. Let's go back. We just had the first shot get fired. Look where her tires are turned. Look where all of the ICE agents are. Well clear of the car. Second shot. That's likely what killed her. You can see a bullet hole in the back of the windshield here. You see the second shot? First of all, did you see anybody get ran over? You just watched a murder, by the way. Did you see anybody get run over? The ICE agent was in front of the car when she was moving. Yeah, with her tires turned to the side. He might have got bumped at going from 0 to 1 miles an hour. Yeah. An acceleration of 1 mile an hour. That scared him enough, let's say, give him the benefit of the doubt and assume he was scared and not just a murderer, looking to murder. To fire off a shot into her windshield. After somebody shoots at your windshield, what do? I get the fuck out of there. And I don't think I would have stopped for these people either because they do not have the authority. And part of the reason you don't stop for people that don't have the authority is because they don't have the training, the trigger discipline, the sense to be doing what they're apparently allowed to do until we as a people demand that they be stopped. But yes, right there, shooting through the side of the car. And then, having just been killed, she speeds off, crashes into other cars because, of course, she's slumped over dead. He's already holstered his gun. And now goes off to presumably murder again because he has not been taken off the streets. But do you remember what Trump said happened? Forget whether or not you agree with the murder of this young mother. And just ask yourself, is what Trump described the situation as accurate? Was anybody run over? No, they were not. Did it appear that anybody was willfully trying to run somebody over? Well, a simple look at where the tires are pointed and the series of events with ice surrounding this car tells you no. Now, listen, a politician could have gone up there and given a reasonable defense of the idea of ICE being in our streets and terrorizing our citizens. A politician could have gone up there and said, "Well, this was unfortunate. It seems like the ICE agent panicked in a stressful situation and behaved in an unfortunate way. We're going to suspend them, or I'm told that we are suspending them until further training is received. That situation was escalated unnecessarily, and it is a tragedy what occurred, but was unfortunately unavoidable given the chaos of the moment." Blah 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 blah. They could have said something like that, except that Trump does not respect you. He revels in lies. He enjoys telling lies that are obviously untrue, and he enjoys trying to corrupt you. Trump thrives on making you worse people. He wants you to get up here. He wants you in my chat to yell at me that young mother somehow deserved death. It gives him a little thrill to see the rest of us lowered, to see the rest of us less than we were, to be just a little grimier, just a little more evil. Because he doesn't feel decency. He's never experienced decency. He's never been inclined towards helping anyone or doing good. I'm not trying to just be hyperbolic here. I mean, I've looked at the man's whole life, and concepts like justice or kindness or even heroism, these things are not really important to him. These are not things he holds in high regard. He will sometimes mention things like this in the course of essentially aping a concept of morality, but it's only on the campaign trail. Off of that, it's purely about what can I get away with saying that people will know is a lie, that people will know is a wretched thing to have said about somebody, and the little thrill people will get with seeing me get away with saying it. That's what he's doing here. He said that the ICE agent was run over. His words. He said the ICE agent was run over by Renee Good. And you just saw with your own eyes. No, he wasn't. So, what conclusions can you draw? Trump said he saw the video, and then he told you that something happened that didn't happen in the video. That's the president, folks. And he just lied to you directly. So answer me honestly. Let's talk to a real American. A real American. You say 1,000,000% her fault. Obviously, that's a silly thing to say. But let's just address the main thing that I just asked. Splitting hairs? No. Let's talk directly about what happened. And I want to start with a real American. A real American, this is for you. Trump said that he watched the video, and in the video, he saw an ICE agent get run over. You just watched the video with me. You know that's not what happened. What conclusions can you draw? No. Bottom line, she died. It was her fault. I noticed you're not answering this question. And that's crucial. And forget the games. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm trying to get you to have a real conversation with me. Maybe the first one a progressive and a MAGA voter has ever had. A sincere conversation. One thing you're not going to like hearing is that your guy in office now is your version of Obama. He winks at your morality. He hints at your morality. But he does nothing that actually helps you. He doesn't ever do what he says he's going to do. He does whatever he wants and then lies about it to tell you how it's in your interest. So, a real American, I just want to talk about one portion of this. Trump said the ICE agent was run over, but the ICE agent was not run over. That's a pretty big difference in terms of what actually happened, isn't it? That's the sort of thing that might lead you to conclude it was her fault. Bottom line, she died. No, bottom line is she was murdered. And you can feel however you feel about whose fault it was, whatever. But first, we got to address, where is your information coming from? Trump said the ICE agent got run over. You just saw that didn't happen. And you know, because he said he saw the same video you just looked at, you know he knows what he said was a lie. What conclusion do you draw from that? Can you trust what he has to say about these things? Are we still talking about the Epstein files? Jeffrey Epstein? Fake news. That guy's been dead forever. He will not die. Trump is your Obama. Obama, for us, for progressives, promised vaguely change. And it was always just around the corner. Oh, we got to get through the midterms. We got to get to the next term for me, because in my second term, that's when I can really do things. Oh, well, we can't do it in the first half of my second term because I need to get a different Congress in place. But you get me that. You get me that. And all the things will happen. Well, look, I didn't do any of the things I said I'd do. But hey, who cares? Now I'm out of office. Time to go do podcasts. That's what you guys are experiencing right now. And I want to spare you the brutality that comes with the aftermath of that. Because the brutality is the worst case scenario for both of us. Worst case scenario for both of us is that America gets sick of your shit, just like they got sick of Obama's shit, and they go right back to centrist. You have whoever the next Jeb Bush is will be the next Republican president, which is about as good as having a Democratic president, as far as your interests are concerned. We've never had a progressive president, but I'll tell you, we thought we were getting one with Obama, and what we got in response as our next one was fucking Joe Biden. Joe Biden is our Jeb Bush, if you're looking for comparisons. He's the same fucking guy. As for Hussein Obama, well, it's our turn with Trump. You don't want a turn of this. Don't you hear what I'm saying? Listen, a real American. When you do something like, say, Hussein Obama, I see what you're doing. You'd rather me freak out about a little insult that you crept in there rather than address a serious issue. But goddamn, I have horrible news for you. And the horrible news is that I'm on your side. Sorry. Yeah, Trump's not on your side. Obama was never on my side. It's you and me. Yeah. I wish it was better than that. I wish I could tell you I had $1 billion coming to help or this or that or the other thing. Mm-mm. It's you and I in the same economic class. Even if you have $1 million in the bank, we're still in the same economic class compared to the people we're against. We're against oligarchs, and they controlled Obama. They control Trump. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry. When you say it's our turn with Trump, that puts a cold pit in my stomach of just horror. And it's not for the reasons you want it to be, man. It's like I stuck my hand in a garbage disposal that was on and is still on, and I've got a bloody stump now, and I see you reaching for it like, "Ha, well, now it's my turn, idiot." We did not get what we wanted with Obama. Or let me put it like this, we didn't get what we were promised with Obama. If you ask a progressive, not a liberal, not the centrist that they allow you to see and talk to because that's who you can argue against and feel like you've won. In the same way that they don't put the real MAGA in front of us unless I go out of my way like this to try to talk to you. Uh a real progressive, as in somebody who in the primaries does not vote for the Democrats generally, but votes for the progressives. A real progressive does not care for Obama, doesn't like him. I happen to think he belongs. I think we should have a trial at least. I don't know if we'll get a conviction, but I think we should have a trial about his behavior in office. You will not agree with the things, most likely, with the things that I think he should be tried for, but we're kind of, I think, on the same page about our feelings towards Obama. I'm not, I don't know if I can say that things will definitely go differently if you change your tactics now, but I can tell you if you keep on the behaving the way you do with your elected officials, um, things are going to go exactly like they went with us and Obama. And basically, Trump will keep promising you that your lives will get better, and they won't. He'll do increasingly drastic and wackadoo things to make headlines that everybody clucks about. But the boring horror will keep creeping into your life. You will still be haunted by healthcare. You will still, no matter how much money you make, you will still not be able to afford the things you need because every time we divide up who gets money in this country, first the rich people get a big sack of money, and then you get a small handful of pennies. It's the same thing Obama did. And what I wish I would have done during Obama's second term is stop blindly supporting him. I wish I would have taken the time to understand the ways in which Obama was lying to us, so I could call bullshit and pressure the guy. Because I'll tell you, now's the time for you, a real American. If you want big money out of politics, for example, if you don't like the idea that George Soros is legally allowed to buy elections, if you don't like that, right now is the time you can do something about it. You have control of the House and the Senate and the White House. Now's the time that you can say, George Soros, you can never again steal a U.S. election. You can make that happen. You just have to unwrap, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little crass, unwrap your lips from Trump's cock. Brush your teeth and tell him, no. Not unlike us and Obama. Again, I stress, we're not we're not preaching to you from a place of superiority. We're preaching to you from a place of failure, saying, look, we had a chance for political change, and about, what was it, 10 years ago now? Whenever the fuck. We had a chance for political change, and we pooched it. And I can tell you exactly how we pooched it, and it's the way you are currently pooching your opportunity. We blindly supported Obama because we equated the kind of energy needed to get somebody elected with the kind of attitude that was needed to have effective legislation. But those are not the same thing. They're just not. Once your person is in office, then you have to start making demands of them to improve your life. And your demand cannot only be make somebody else's life harder. Because you will only have that measured for you by a series of news clips. You know? And as I just said, as I showed you, Trump will lie to you even about what those news clips say. So I will acknowledge you've got a larger burden right now than I do. And then a vast majority of my audience does. All of what me and my audience are talking about is hypothetical. You know, if we get one of ours in office, and by the way, there's, I think, 5 progressives in the whole U.S. government, by my reckoning. We're not exactly a threat to you at the moment. But when we're talking about what we think the government should do, we're being hypothetical because we have to get the elected people in office first. We're at least a year away from being able to do anything at all. But you, right now, tonight, you could write emails. You could send an actual physical letter. You could throw a real curveball and get out in the streets with these folks. And just tell your leaders that you have expectations for your life improving. The average American worker should be living like a king compared to the rest of the world if we're truly as powerful as we say we are. Actually, the average American worker has a substandard lifestyle compared to every other developed country. We live less long. We eat less well. We work longer hours, but we have less pay. We already live like it's a third world country. And this precedes Trump's time. So progressives, don't get on your high horse. This was true all throughout Obama's time. But MAGA, don't you dare get on your high horse because Trump's there now and he's not doing shit. He is invading Venezuela, and it's not our right to steal their oil. But even if he's going to steal the oil, he gave it to oil executives. He didn't take it for the U.S. He just gave it to U.S. companies. You know, Alphabet, the folks that own Google and YouTube, is a U.S. company. It's half owned by Russians. Giving Venezuela's oil to U.S. companies is yet another way he lies to you to make it seem at a glance like he's doing something for you, when in reality, he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's building ballrooms and diddling kids and all the stuff he enjoys doing, but he's not making your life better. So this thing where, you think I give a about Obama, please don't insult me. I do not have very much kind things to say about Obama. But to think that you would want a version of what Obama did with Trump is learning the exact wrong lesson from our failures. Obama pretended to be a progressive, and we believed him so hard because we were so desperate for that to be true. Who does this sound like, MAGA? We were so desperate for that to be true that we chose to be blind to the fact that he very rarely did anything for us. And when he did things for us, it was only because we demanded it. For example, we did demand the Affordable Care Act. Whether you like it or not, that was a demand of the people. And Obama did not get it done until there was pressure for it. And even then, it was insufficient. And even then, it was Romney Care originally, Mitt Romney from Utah. Anyway, I want you to reapproach this conversation, a real American. Reapproach this conversation with higher expectations for all U.S. leaders, including your own, especially your own. Because if you don't make demands of the guy you put in office, then we're on autopilot. But I tell you, we keep heading right towards the mountainside. This is not a good time for autopilot. Natchikit, great to see you. Clown World. Yeah, it is. It is that. Hell, we got so many folks here tonight. Good to see you all. How much... Curtis, how much is the left paying you to live stream to boost their propaganda on live stream? They are paying me $0. My stream got demonetized a while back, and I haven't had the wherewithal to remonetize it. I was planning on selling sauce, and I still plan to do that. But the short answer is not at all. Also, you're not wrong. This is left-leaning propaganda. I'd call it propaganda. It's my viewpoint, certainly, and I lean left. But here's the deal. Yeah, Donald James X is laughing at this too. They pay me enough to die of untreated medical conditions. How about that? They pay me just enough to go find out what's killing me, but not enough to do anything about it. That's how much they pay me. You have a conception of the left that I think is inaccurate. The only Democrats with power are right-leaning. And this isn't even a which is right or which is correct, the right wing or the left wing thing. But just so you have a more accurate understanding of who you're talking to, I am a progressive, which means I am indeed on the left. However, the Democrats with money are the conservatives because it's like a reflection of your side. The folks that tend to have the money, at least when they start out, are the centrists. I wouldn't go so far as to call them left-leaning, but, you know, the center of American politics is pretty far to the right on a world stage. So just going off the traditional scales. The point being the centrists have the money. And the fringes, which is y'all and us, we don't have the money. Now, you guys have a benefit when it comes to podcasters for sure, in that you got things like, Tenet Media. You've got, there's special interests which may fund the fringe stuff. But that does not happen on the progressive left, and the reason for that is because we are not profitable for business interests. We are pushing the idea that these are the very motherfuckers, the George Soroses of the world, the Bill Gateses of the world. These are the people who thieve from us. And our message couldn't stay coherent if we were taking money from them. I'm not even saying that we're too noble to do it. Nobody's offered. Nobody's even offered to bribe me. I couldn't tell you if I'd take a bribe or not. Do you know anybody who's handing them out? But no, there's an ideological reason why people don't make a lot of money doing this on the left, and that's unlikely to change. Sorry to say. Do you know that there's more rich people on the left than the right? I don't know that I would agree with that. I'm sure there's a lot of rich people that identify as Democrats, but I personally know wealthy Democrats, as in they vote Democrat, but they contribute to both parties. And they do so because they are bribing people, plain and simple. It's just bribes. That's all it is. Groove Dragon, thank you. And I do want to point out only report folks if they're full on using slurs and trying to insult members of our audience. I do want to talk to these folks because I notice they have a misconception about who we are. And I think we probably have a misconception about who they are. I see people accusing me, of being like a Biden supporter. You just saw a real American uh, strongly implied that I was an Obama fan. And that's humorous to my audience because you children think you hate Democrats. You fucking children think you hate Democrats. You amateurs. I hate them with the old magic. I hate them with a deep and abiding passion. I hate them like an ocean with tides of seething anger. I have had sexual fantasies about some of their demises. I swear to you, you do not know hate like I hate Democrats. But that misconception is there for a reason. You've been told to think a certain way about me. And we've been told, we progressives have been told to think a certain way about you. And I have a feeling that the centrists, the rich centrists, benefit from that. I don't like what your guy's doing, but your guy's in charge right now. So you're who I want to talk to. I want the American people to start controlling their politicians. I'm sick of seeing us run PR for them. That makes me sad. Watching you guys jump up here and try to tell me that Trump didn't just lie to us when he so clearly did, that makes me sad. Because otherwise, when is this going to change? Which one of us is going to say, okay, our folks are in charge, and so now things will be better because I'm going to make them better. Me, the voter, I'm going to insist that my representative represent me. But that's not what happens. And it's not just you guys. I see it happen with Democrats. People they don't know what to do when it comes to criticizing their own side. And we just can't afford it anymore, gang. Literally. Like our economy cannot afford it anymore. I want elections to be close to irrelevant because the real decisions are made between you and me and all these folks. Because who does it matter? Like, what does it matter whose party is in charge if the parties are doing what we say? Do you see what I mean? If you have control over your people and I got control over my people, then we just have to say, okay, great. Universal health care. Put that in place. We're going to be like every other country in the world with a budget. Now we don't have to worry about that. Okay, great. Big money out of politics. I'm sick of Bill Gates being able to corrupt the U.S. education system. I'm sick of George Soros. I'm sick of the Koch brothers. I'm sick of all these fucking rich pricks who don't live in the world with the rest of us getting to pick our kings for us. I'm sick of that. And we can end it. Trump won't release employment jobs reports. That is a concern. And that is yet another thing that I've noticed politicians have started doing, particularly in the Trump administration, have started doing. They do not release reports. Not when they're bad. Just like during COVID, he didn't want to release the numbers for who was sick. That's how he dealt with the disease. This is how he's dealing with a bad employment report. He's going to not release this, and then when he releases for like a month, hoping that the next month will be better. And if it's not, he's going to hold on to that. And if it's not, he's going to hold on to that. And then when there is a month that shows improvement, he'll release them all at once. And he'll do it in the form of a graph saying, look, we were here just a few months ago, but now we're here. Never mentioning that the first point he's pointing to was a huge fall off that we have yet to recover from. It's just a lie. It's just a lie. And he seems to have convinced y'all that I'm seeing here in the comments. He seems to have convinced you that it's your job to help sell his lies, but it's not. You see, if you're helping to sell his lies, well, he must not be lying to you. Well, we know the truth. We know the truth, but we're going to help him lie because otherwise it would look bad. And really, politics is about winning an argument. No, he's lying to you. When he gets you, we already don't like it. That's not a revelation to him. Doesn't hurt him that much if we see that the employment is exactly what we suspected, but he's lying to you. And he's doing it by telling you that it's your job to lie for him. So truth really doesn't matter. When did I say this? You said to an uneducated MAGA. I don't think I say MAGA voters. And there are educated and uneducated MAGA voters. There's, educated and uneducated all voters, pretty much. I've lost the context. I'm sorry. But if I said an uneducated MAGA, I did not mean to imply that all MAGA folks were uneducated. That's not something I believe. Winston, I don't know what that context is. Let's see. Your parents are biologically related. Well, one was Lithuanian and one was Polish, so you're not totally off. They are at least neighbors. Do you know what Obama said to the chicken, your mom? I don't follow that. Harris was a threat to the Republican Party. Harris wouldn't be a threat to a ham sandwich. I barely remembered she was there while she was vice president. Harris is a prosecutor who went after single mothers when she was in California. I don't know who you think is a fan of Harris here, but not I. My parents are related. Interesting. My mom is white as shit and my dad's black. No, I was reading a comment. That was a different thing. Somebody told me, oh, wait, somebody was telling you your parents. I see. Hey, Elaine. Bring up Larry Laver's comment. You're offended about a private citizen. He's voicing a personal opinion in his own channel and calling it news. Oh, Elaine, I'm mostly on board with your logic here, but let's be nice to Larry. He doesn't look. He's not going to agree with me, but that's okay. He's got the courage to show up and listen to somebody he doesn't agree with. Let him heckle me. If the anger is directed my way, that's okay. And I know this. I'm asking a lot of the mods, by the way. These are hard times, and the job of moderator is very important. It's also very difficult, and it's going to change on the fly. So, Elaine, in this case, I think the rule is if they're aiming insults at me secretly, it gives me half a chub. So if somebody's saying a mean thing to me, it's catharsis. It's things I say to myself with clenched teeth in the mirror every day. But what we want to be on the lookout for is if they are saying mean things to each other in the comments. Be nice to each other, even if you don't think you deserve it. Guns down in this place. Ha! Donald James X, there is no ad revenue. But here's the deal. If you guys are watching on the vertical stream and you find it unsatisfying, head on over to the horizontal stream. The horizontal stream, as far as I can tell, is full of the normal crowd. And it's like the front row for this. It's also what the video is based around. But no, this is not a matter of pursuing ad revenue. This is a matter of specifically talking to the very people who are making you angry right now. But let's take a minute to talk to my regulars, because you this is who it's for. TMI, Jake. I don't need to hear about a chub. Well, that's fair. But I think we're being played, in short, fellow progressives. I think we're being toyed with. I think these people are behaving in a way that they have been taught to behave, specifically because it makes us not talk to them about important things. We start arguing about this, that, or the other thing, but we drift away from the main thing which both parties fuck us to death with, which is economic reform. Boring economic reform. Mostly as far as funding elections goes. Do you guys really like AIPAC funding U.S. elections? Did you like them removing 2 representatives in New York last time around? Do you like AIPAC deciding who's going to represent you? We're being played, man. These are uncomfortable conversations sometimes. I kind of enjoy them, if I'm honest. But look, to have it be a good viewing experience for you, number one, you can go in the live, not live. You can go in the horizontal stream, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the core stream, because that's like the front row of in a comedy theater, if you will. But thing number 2 that you can do is click on the offending person that you see and just mute them for yourself or hide them for yourself. Not as a mod, but for yourself. You can do that with anybody. But you don't even have to go that far. Just ignore them. Because we know they're going to say things that are tailor-made to get under our skin. And when I'm up here talking, I feel it creeping up that I want to say something that I know is going to get under their skin. I don't think it's an accident. I don't think it's an accident that we have a tendency to argue like this instead of talking about economics. I don't think it's an accident that I could not get any of them to acknowledge a very clear lie that was literally right in front of their eyes. I don't think it's an accident that they think we love Obama. I don't think it's an accident that we all seemed to agree at one point in this country that Bernie Sanders would have made a pretty good president, and Democrats are the reason that he didn't get a shot at it. It's a group effort to stop us having serious conversations. And it is the centrists that are responsible for it. It's a centrist conspiracy. That doesn't mean that MAGA and progressives have to start supporting the same candidates. But we can work together. For example, we could start saying that there are now 2 elections every time there's an election. There is first the election that's about economic policy, and that's the primary. And we have MAGA and progressives agree that nobody gets through the primary unless they are acknowledging that they will get big money out of politics. No more AIPAC buying things. No more Bill Gates elections. None of that. My ears are bleeding. Am I shouting into the microphone? I do tend to do that. Yeah, see, Rudy Armenta, do you find do you think you're persuading anybody? Because this is what I'd like to actually talk to Rudy Armenta for a moment. So do respond if you don't mind. Um, ban me, bitch ass, motherfucking pussy. Actually, yes, please do ban Orange Clockwork because he literally asked for it. So yeah, ban that fella, please and thank you. Uh, but Rudy, do you think you're being persuasive here? First of all, um, I'll tell you what I think you were doing. I think that you did not want to actually change anybody's mind or show anybody that your side has anything to offer. I think what you wanted to do was shock some of my audience, and just sort of cow people into thinking, well, there's so many people shouting in this crowd that it must be a popular opinion, and if it's popular, it must be the right opinion. I think that's the sort of logic you were hoping we would follow. Would you say that's accurate? Well, he's going to spend the rest of his life in office. So, I mean, Donald Trump has been a politician for 1/4 of my life. He's been donating to politicians for my entire life, but he has certainly been a politician for 1/4 of my life. I'm eyeballing 40, my friend. I don't know. I mean, he's as swampy a creature as they get. Here's the other thing about what you were saying, though. It concerns me that you think God being on a political platform is good. Oh, Jesus, TWG. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about that in a second. Uh, okay, sorry. I'm Rudy. I'm sorry I got distracted. It confuses me that you think God being on a political platform is good. Admittedly, I'm an atheist, so this is an outsider's perspective, but I have a certain tenderness for Christians. I feel a little protective of Christians and Christianity. I went to a Catholic school when I was younger, and they taught me not to blaspheme, at least not casually. And to some degree, I want true believers out there earnestly pursuing the mysteries of the universe from a perspective of someone that believes, I mean, sincerely believes that God is guiding them. I want that for personal selfish reasons. I want that because if it turns out to be true, we are more likely to discover it with people actively pursuing it that way. But even if it turns out not to be true, I think the culture of Christianity is something I want to see preserved and continued on. I enjoy hanging out with Mennonites. I enjoy the Amish as well for similar reasons. I enjoy, for similar reasons, people that do judo. I'm one myself. It's I like carrying on ancient traditions, totally separate from whether or not one actually practices those traditions. What I don't like seeing is God being used to sell things, be it a product or a political office. I think it demeans God. I mean, if you're a true believer, you might argue that one cannot demean God, but you know what I mean. It demeans worship. It demeans the seriousness of conversations around God. It's like when people say, "Well, that's my wife and my best friend." dude, I would hope you care about you love your wife more than your best friend. Sorry to your best friend, but come on. And I get what people are saying, but it's that, but with politics. If you are a American Christian in particular, you probably well, not necessarily, but let's say you're an American Protestant. You don't believe there is a head of your religion. And if you are an American Catholic, you do believe there's a head of your religion, but they're not in America. That's the Pope. Either way, to make God a matter of legislation is such a downgrade in the sanctity of the idea. Or excuse me, to make God a matter of politics is such a downgrade in the sanctity of the idea, um, that I think basically only con artists try to get you to confuse the two. And by the way, it inevitably results in the erosion of religious liberty. I'm a Catholic and I love the Virgin Mary. Well, I would assume so if you're a Catholic. Larry Laffer, God always needs money. Ain't that a thing? Yeah, the people who say God needs money, I have a feeling God is not pleased with. Okay, TWG. Oh, please don't do this to me. I'm begging you. You've got the dude in your profile picture. I'm begging you, don't do this to me. Obama 2028. We barely. Oh, if I know you're mostly joking, but Obama you utilized drone strikes more than any other president. Um, no, I think Trump has now surpassed him, but it took him a good long while. Uh, Obama killed a U.S. citizen without court approval. Obama gave huge bailouts to banks when he could have given checks directly to the American people instead and just let the banks suffer. Or we could have taken over the banks because we basically bought them. Obama eroded U.S. rights against law enforcement. He expanded search and seizure programs. Obama is the reason that nothing was done about the illegal invasion of Iraq. Obama is the reason that Dick Cheney and George W. Bush and Colin Powell and everybody who worked for Halliburton, that they all got to just be rich and free and happy and mock you. Obama is probably the biggest disappointment of our generation so far, but I have a feeling that bit by bit, people are starting to realize that Trump's at least as bad in every single way when it comes to disappointments. The Catholic Church needs to make things right. Yeah, Snowden. Exactly. I mean, look, I will give Obama a pass on healthcare, and here's why. Ethan Rivers Ward. You're not. Look, you have to understand. I'm being very generous to Obama here, but it's just because I tore into him a moment ago, and in this case, this is not as bad as everything else. It's a case of he didn't f this up as badly as he did other things. I don't know if you can call his effing up because he did them very intentionally. But here goes. Barack Obama took something called Romney Care from Utah and rebranded it as the Affordable Care Act. And that did help millions of Americans. At least it provided health care to millions of folks who otherwise couldn't afford it and now, once again, can't afford it. It was a half measure. The website was terrible. It needed massive reforms immediately. all because it was a half measure. It was trying to still make uh, to force people who made a certain amount of money not to have it, which sort of defeats the purpose. The point of you of single payer healthcare is to have one payer. And this was not that. This was a compromise that sort of turned into nonsense. Obama did pass the Affordable Care Act, and it does work in some states, but it still capitulates to the insurance companies. That is much more eloquently said than I said. Thank you. That's it exactly. So it does work in some states, but the issue being that we're still at the mercy of insurance companies, and they don't actually provide us health care. They just bet on our doom, and they make us bet on it. And it's a sick game that they inevitably, eventually always win. Snixabia, great to see you. Obama did help people. Yeah, exactly. Working 40 hours a week, get over $48,000 a year. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not saying Obama was the worst president we've ever had, but Obama was put into power because he promised change. And that was a vague promise that we allowed to stay vague, and in the end, not much changed. And only now, years later, do we have the vocabulary to talk about the kind of change that was necessary. And it was fundamental economic change in America to the power structure of America. We could have said when Obama was in office, we could have said, we got at one point, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got the White House. Let's get big money out of politics. No more George Soros bribing people. No more Bill Gates bribing people. No more Koch brothers bribing people. Name a billionaire. No more them bribing people. We could have said that, and we failed. Because at the time, none of us really were woke, as they say. None of us were really aware of the details of it all. These folks, a lot of the folks I'm talking to right now on this very stream, these folks have an opportunity to get their guy to actually fix some problems in America. I want to help them do that. At the very least, I want to warn you that you're running out of time. Right now is the moment that you have to make demands of your government. Now is not the time that you turn to us and say, whoa, they're not lying. If you squint, what they said was kind of true. No, fellas, ladies, no. We did that to you. You're right to be mad about it. You're not right to do it right back to us, but whatever. You're right to be mad about it. Don't make the same mistake. Because we fucked up. And then we got Joe Biden. Things go in the exact opposite direction if you just blindly support these people. They need to be controlled. You got to take the reins of power. You just did all the work to put these people there. So do something with it. Have clear demands. Don't just be satisfied to watch other people suffering like a snuff film. You have to actually accomplish something. And you can. Right now you have all of it. The whole thing. You got the House, Senate, and White House. That's the ability to write a bill, sign a bill, pass the bill. Get big money out of politics. Start with that. Overturn Citizens United. You've got the Supreme Court, too. This is a layup. Yeah, overturn Citizens United. And Buckley v. Vallejo. Write that down if you haven't. Buckley versus Valejo. And Citizens United. Those are the two things you got to get rid of. And great news, you will never have to hear about George Soros ever again. Don't know what to do? I got you. Get rid of Buckley v. Vallejo and Citizens United. Those are the two things you demand. If you can get that done, half the people that hate Trump right now will downgrade that to mild dislike. Biden was a scary disaster. He really wasn't. I mean, he was. It was scary how fucking mush-brained he was by the end. But he was a center-right standard U.S. president. He was a huge disappointment. I mean, he was an insult to progressives, whose last president was Obama. But Biden stabilized the economy and then sat on his hands. That was his whole presidency. Oh, excuse me. He dived headfirst into the genocide in Palestine. Sure. But apart from that evil, he tried to pass the Build Back Better bill. He tried to raise the minimum wage. The CHIPS Act was a success. But that was the stabilizing of the economy. That just took us back to where we were before the pandemic. And he had the benefit of Trump's vaccine being out there already. So Trump's Operation Whirlwind or some such. The point is, Biden, if you were told that he was some villain instead of the doddering old man that he wound up being, the somewhat overly sentimental. I take it back. He did not have an effective Justice Department. Joe Biden apparently he appointed Merrick Garland to be the Attorney General, and Merrick Garland specifically forbade his FBI from even mentioning Trump's name when it came to the January 6th investigations. And if we would have had those aired out in court, like the year after it happened, we wouldn't still be arguing about it. No matter what the courts decided, it would have been decided. So that was a failure of Biden's, because we're still talking about it because he just chose to ignore the issue rather than address it. But all around, Biden's not much of a villain. What am I saying? He took part in a genocide. I'm saying he's not much of a villain. He's just uninteresting. He's a boring villain, I guess. But yeah, all right, I take it back. Scary disaster. That's true. Fine. I was just saying, well, Biden wasn't that much of it wasn't a scary disaster. He was just doing a genocide. Oh, he wasn't a scary disaster. He just didn't address the coup. Oh, he wasn't okay. Yeah, he was a scary disaster. You're right. I'm wrong. Biden owns CHIPS Act. I mean, that's one thing he can be proud of. One thing. I do not think that's true, Randy. I earnestly don't think that's the case. A young mother was still, what the hell? Here's why I don't think that's the case. Randy says Trump is trying to make America a better place to live. Here's life in America. A young mother was just shot to death by Trump's ICE agents. She just dropped her kid off at school. Then they behaved erratically around her car. She turned away from the ICE agent and got shot through the dome. But that's not all. He's not installing things in terms of infrastructure to make your life easier. There's no new rails being built. You're not the repeal and replace that he keeps saying he's going to do. The implication that you're going to get better health care never happens. He's been saying it literally for 10 years now. Repeal and replace. Oh, we're going to have a great thing. In 2 weeks, we're going to have, in 2 weeks, we're going to have the best healthcare. It's going to be the greatest healthcare. He keeps saying that. It never happens. It's always 2 weeks. Next month. Oh, in the next quarter. Well, when we get back from this break. It's been a decade, man. I used to have my full head of hair when he started saying that he's gonna repeal and replace Obamacare. I mean, the reason look, I'm not saying Trump can't do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that, he's not going to until you insist, until you have a specific demand that you make of the man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there we are. Like, for example, I would love for you all to start saying, "Hey, my representatives in this bright red area, I would like you to repeal uh, Buckley v. Vallejo and Citizens United. The two decisions. I want these contested in the Supreme Court, and I want Trump's Supreme Court to overturn these decisions. And failing that, I want a constitutional amendment that simply says no big money in politics." Now, see, Cool Cat 3032 says we must take Greenland and we must take Venezuela. The Russians and the Chinese want to take them and keep the oil market in the world for themselves. Here's a question. Cool Cat. Do you think it would be less of a strategic priority to battle over these resources if our cars were all electric? Just something to consider. Maybe this stuff would not be necessary if we'd invested differently. But I'll tell you, I don't even think this stuff is necessary in any way, shape, or form. You said we must take Venezuela. What if Mexico said we must take California? We must take Texas because America is a danger and they're threatening us with these states. So we must take them. I think you know that's a nonsensical opinion. I also think you know that before Trump started saying this, at no point were you thinking, "Ooh, that Russia. Ooh, that Russia. We're so close to a physical war with them." I think you know that's pretty much nonsense. I will do you the courtesy of not addressing it further. You spread fiction, not facts. What have I said that was untrue, Nitram? Please do tell me. I'm looking for an answer from Nitram, who believes I spread fiction, not facts. Oh, wait, I spread fiction, not fats. You're doubly wrong. I spread fats constantly. I have a knife here specifically for that. It's for the butter that I put on my homemade bread. Nitram, though, do tell me, what do you think I said that was incorrect? Because I've been spitting straight fire this whole time. You say can't, but that's sort of a problem, don't you think? Should they? Should they be able to? Is that the moral thing? You say, but they can't do it. What happens if one day they can? What kind of world are we building? In other words, having the ability to do something. Like I could walk over my neighbor is a sweet old lady. I can kick open her door and take all of her I don't know, copper pipes out of her wall. There ain't she can do about it. Why don't I do that? Let me ask you something, Barry. Is this actually the way you think people should behave? When you were a kid and you were imagining what you'd be like as a man, did you imagine you'd be a good man? A decent a decent person? Did you imagine if people were watching your life as a movie that they would be rooting for you or that they'd be hoping somebody stopped you? Are you a good person truly? I think a good person will arrive at the conclusion that simply having the ability to do something does not give you the right to do it. Think on it for a while. Hmm. TWG, I can't figure out what side of the political aisle you're on. 24 people in stream. Go home with your OBS TriCaster weak sauce. Now, if you'll recall earlier, uh, if you will recall earlier, somebody said I was getting paid by the Democrats to do this. I think you got to decide, am I a paid shill or am I perhaps too unconsequential to listen to? It's got to really be one or the other. This is interesting. We could use electric cars, says Cool Cat 3032. That doesn't matter. We must protect our country, United States of America. Do you have the right to speak your mind out because you are in US? I don't follow what you're saying. I'm sorry. We could use electric cars, gasoline cars. That doesn't matter. Okay, we'll ignore that. We must protect our country, United States of America. And do you have I mean, we have to protect our country currently from our country. That's why people are out there marching right now. TBQH. That's why people are there we are out there doing their thing. They are protecting Americans from the Gestapo, basically, an undertrained, over-militarized, masked, unidentified force of bandits. I would love, Cool Cat, for you to talk to libertarians. I think if you're on the right and you want to understand how I feel about what's happening right now from a right-leaning perspective, then talk to some of your fellow libertarians. The government ought not to have the right to point a gun at you casually. The government ought not to be able to stop you in the street and go, "Papers, please. This is the stop point. I will have your papers or you will be shot." That's not very American, is it? No. Talk to libertarians. They will agree with me. It might shock you, but yeah, it's the way things have gone. But they've gone that way because we're allowing them to. What's that apocalyptic flag doing at the peaceful protest? What are you apocalyptic flag? Ooh, let me have a gander. I do not see what you're talking about. But I'm concerned that when we find out what flag you're talking about, it's going to turn out to be that you are exaggerating. And I'm noticing from a lot of the right-wing folks that I'm talking to that basically every time I talk to you, you're exaggerating. And I think that is not an accident. I think you're doing that whether you realize it or not because you are uncomfortable talking about the reality here. And you should do some soul searching. Why are you uncomfortable just speaking plainly? Why do you feel you have to exaggerate? Why do you have to twist who these people are or what's going on. For example, you know that Renee Good was doing nothing wrong. You certainly know that she was not, she didn't need to be shot. You know that the officer, the ICE agent, because I just showed you, was not run over. And you know that the president lied to you about that fact. You have to be able to answer for yourself why that is. If you can't, you're not serious. And then you should ask yourself, why am I not being serious about serious subjects? And always ask yourself, is this who I thought I'd be? Did I think I'd be an unserious person? Did I think I'd be a patsy? Did I think I would be buying snake oil from snake oil salesmen my whole life? It's not too late for you. It's too late for me. I got fucked to death by Obama. It's not too late for you. There's 3 years left in a hypothetical Trump or in this Trump presidency. You can still get stuff done, but you got to. You got to fucking try. You cannot just accept the laziest lies I have ever seen. And you certainly shouldn't be doing this thing where you're exaggerating or you're trying to say things that you think are going to be controversial in order to rile folks up because you're just avoiding a conversation. And it's a conversation people are trying to have with you. And you're doing it for the benefit of people that you will never meet and do not care about you. The left Democrat, this is Curtis that says the left Democrat liberals are creating chaos in the U.S. over ICE agents arresting illegal. Nope. We're going to correct this bit by bit. They came in here, illegal immigrants. They came in here during the Biden administration. The Biden administration allowed terrorists. Ooh, Donald James X says, I heard he got stitches, but that report has been disputed, kinda. I would be shocked if he required stitches for anything received in that moment because he was not even limping after he shot her in the head. Well, I don't see where Curtis's message ends, but it's just a dearth of sort of nothing. It's either lies or well, I don't want to say lies, but it's unexamined beliefs, let's say. The left Democrat liberals are creating chaos in the U.S. over ICE agents arresting illegal immigrants. Well, it's me, not them. It's progressives that are creating chaos in the form of protests. But that's an American tradition, a proud right, and what keeps us free is our ability to protest and our bravery in asserting that right. Especially the bravery required now because there are lawless police officers. There are rogue, undertrained, even if they mean well, they don't mean well. They're some of the worst cunts possible, but undertrained, irresponsible, loose with the trigger finger idiots that are supposedly keeping order at these things. So some bravery is required to keep that freedom upheld for you and me. But it's not over ICE agents arresting illegal immigrants. It's over ICE agents. Specifically, this one is over ICE agents murdering an unarmed American citizen. They've killed 4 U.S. citizens so far. They shot Renee Good, mother, in the head. She was a young mother. She had just dropped her child off at school. By the way, do you think the child heard the gunshot? The shot that killed his mother? Do you think, she was pulling away from, like the school was less than a mile away, is my understanding. I wonder if for the rest of that child's life, they're gonna remember what the sound of their mother dying looked like. Do you know what Renee Good's last words were? I'm not mad at you, dude. That was Renee's last words to the person who murdered her. Right before she pulled off, she said, "I'm not mad at you." And she pulled away. And he responded by shooting her in the head, and then he called her a fucking bitch as the blood poured out of her skull. That's the character you're looking at here. Renee Good, literally a woman named Good. Renee Good, after just having dropped her child off to school, got harassed by a group of unprofessional ICE agents. They behaved erratically around her car. They shot her in the head. She said to them, "I'm not mad at you," and pulled off. He shot her in the head and called her a fucking bitch. This is not unseen, by the way. I don't know why it is you all seem to think that the rest of the world is in your bubble. Or perhaps you don't realize you are in a bubble. But the rest of the world is seeing this and taking notes. And historians are at some point going to be discussing these days in America. And they're going to look at things like this, things that are easily disproved. And they're going to wonder, why did Curtis believe this? Why did Curtis say this? Did he really even believe this at all? And I can't answer that earnestly. I don't know if you really believe these things you're saying. I think you probably haven't even asked yourself if you really believe these things. I think you've heard this sort of thing said, and your idea of politics is just to repeat winning feeling arguments without ever actually considering whether or not any of it's true. But it's not a game to me, man. Renee Good was a real human being. And I don't only think about her in terms of, does she help me make a point? Does her tragic murder help me get a little victory? I think about her kid and the haunting sound of the gunshots that killed her, bouncing around his skull for the rest of his life. The fact that you are so eager, you might be a bot, you might be a Russian who's here to make us yell at each other, but even if you are a bot, Curtis, then you were programmed by a human. And if you're a Russian agent who's here to stir up crap in America, you're still a human being. Or if you're sincerely just an American who's inundated with propaganda all day, I'm surprised that at no point did you sit down and say, who the hell am I? What have I become? That never once pauses to consider the humanity of the woman who's just murdered, or your culpability in her murder by supporting this, by refusing to question this, by irrationally clinging to these so clearly obvious lies. When you toss in things like when you say creating chaos instead of protesting, you're twisting words. Right now, you call them left Democrat liberals. Like, ooh, you just can't stop on that word enough. That ideology. Left Democrat liberal. Right now, Americans are protesting in the U.S. over ICE agents killing an unarmed mother. That's your sentence corrected for accuracy. But you said the left, Democrat, liberals are creating chaos in the U.S. over ICE agents arresting illegal immigrants. Those two things, even though you twisted it one word at a time, one little piece of it at a time, those two things are not the same events, are they? And you know that. The left, Democrat, liberals, Americans are protesting over the murder of an unarmed young mother. You have an obligation, if you are a U.S. citizen, to attend these protests. Otherwise, you're Curtis. And Curtis, you're helping. You're helping the people that want to hurt you, that do thieve from you, that create the conditions that make you suffer, that make you so angry. And you're taking that anger out on the people that are trying to help. The absolute best of us are dying, and the absolute most deluded of us are assisting in that. Curtis, you also have an obligation to get out there and protest this abuse of power. Yeah, Groove Dragon. How many are out supporting ICE? Correct, correct, correct. What about Charlie's kids? Well, I happen to think that we should have gun control. I think you should require a license to purchase and carry a firearm. I think it is a horror that at one point Charlie Kirk's children, if they want, will be able to look up footage of his death. I hope they never do. At the moment of his death, I mean, we talked about the moment of Renee Good's death. At the moment of Renee Good's death, that lady said, "I'm not mad at you," to the ICE officer, who then shot her in the head and called her a fucking bitch. So that's the character of the people we're talking about. And at the moment of Charlie Kirk's death, somebody was asking him in the audience about gun control and whether or not he understands the number of children who die every year because of gun violence. And Charlie Kirk said, counting or not counting gang violence. See, Charlie Kirk was trying to make it seem like it's a black problem or a brown person problem and not a legislation problem. At the very moment that he was shot to death on a school campus, and simultaneously as that was happening, something you likely did not hear about given your presumed media diet, is that another school shooting was happening wherein 2 people were killed. I don't recall if they were killed. That's very sad. But 2 people were shot. So what about Charlie's kids? I grieve for them. I have thought about them. I think it's very twisted that their mother are being made to go on a media tour of some sort right now. I think that's a very strange situation that I don't want to touch because everybody grieves in their own way, and maybe this is how she is grieving, is to carry on his podcast. But my thoughts are that I'm 100% correct on the legislation necessary, and for Charlie Kirk's own sake, I wish we would have defeated his ideas because that might have saved his life. Yeah, the right voted for a pedo, the right voted for a pedo, the right voted for yeah, this is all true, and I'm gonna have to take some of the wind out of our sails as well because Joe Biden, I don't know if, it's worse than being a pedo, certainly, but he is a pedo protector because we had the Epstein files. We coulda just released those motherfuckers at any point, or we could have actually prosecuted somebody. We could have prosecuted Clinton if we didn't have the balls to go after Trump. We could have prosecuted we could have undone Alexander Acosta's agreement to not go after any of the folks that were Epstein clients, but we didn't. So yeah, Trump and Biden both will burn in hell for their treatment of the Epstein files. By the way, Trump is on the Epstein files. Y'all saw that, right? I mean, I haven't even bothered talking about it because this is how poorly the country is being run. But you all saw the guy's a diddler, right? We just acknowledge that's true. I'm not even trying to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to do a gotcha. But if I could acknowledge that Biden at any point could have released this, you could at least acknowledge that you did see that Trump's name is plastered all over it. At the very least, even if he didn't diddle the kids, he knew what Epstein was up to. I do, yeah, Tim, I do think I don't care for the phrasing, and I know I'm going harder on you than I am on them, but that's because we know each other. Um, we do have to ask why the default response is for these folks to come out in droves and defend the indefensible. I mean, even if you agree with ICE overall doing what they're doing, you should be able to acknowledge that this was poorly handled. It was either evil or it was incompetent. It's one, the other, or both. But there's no other option. He shot an unarmed single mother, not single mother, an unarmed young mother, in the side of the head. You have to be able to acknowledge reality. If I mean, I am trying to take you seriously, the right wing, and I'm offering you um, everything, everything. I am willing to go as far as putting on criminal trial every left wing president or left wing president hasn't existed, but every Democrat president throughout my lifetime. But you have to be, I mean, you have to be in reality for us to do this. I can't. I'm bending over backwards to be kind about your political positions, but it is like it's almost kabuki theater. It's got. If I go any further than this, people will think I'm teasing you. So you gotta do a little, get a little serious. No, I misread that. Oh, let's jump down. Uh, if you support ICE, you also support Bush/Cheney illegal wars, Homeland Security Act, and the Patriot Act. I pretty much agree. I mean, they came. So if you're not familiar with what this person is saying, because a lot of people don't realize this, ICE is not an ancient American institution. ICE is a creation of the war on terror, and it was a massive overreach. It's basically a way to keep the military-industrial complex going, uh, even when we're not in war. And it's a you can just say there's problems at the border, and Americans will not ask to have that verified at all, Republican or Democrat. They'll just trust that you're telling the truth. because you're saying a negative thing about brown folks, and then they'll literally give you money for it. You buy tanks. You can pretend like you're going to build a wall. You can be Steve Bannon and say, "Ooh, we're going to build the wall independently," and folks will just give you money. That's all. That's basically all ICE is. And now they've been given real work to do, and unfortunately, the work is nonsensical. Trump, what did he say? He was going to deport 3,000 people a day. I want to point out that the country only has 333 million people. So I don't know who he's planning on grabbing, but if he was to actually successfully deport 3,000 people a day, we would run out of immigrants pretty quick, and then we'd have to move on to anybody. Never mind illegal, just immigrants. So yeah, ICE has been given a nonsensical job to do, and they don't have they certainly never had the training to begin with, as was just demonstrated by the incompetence of the guy who murdered a woman, Renee Good. And the new people are laughable in their training. Have you seen them dropping guns, slipping on ice, and discharging their weapons? They're fucking clowns. Dangerously incompetent. They are literally a danger to themselves and others. But it's all being done to provide sport for these folks. It's because it's what they will accept as proof of America being helped. Harm towards somebody else is enough currently, as of this conversation. But you know what? We were arguably easier targets back in the day. Really, somebody would just tell us that a vague policy like the Affordable Care Act was the thing that we were going for. Like we said we wanted universal health care, and they'd be like, "Oh, we've got it for you. It's called the Affordable Care Act." And it was Romney Care. It was just a Republican's health care plan from Utah. So I mean, we were fucking idiots as well. We got duped also. The difference is right now they can do something about it. They can change course with their guy. They can actually make demands. Our guy got away with it already. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. Snixabia, releasing them would get more people offed, though. Releasing who? I don't know who we're talking about. That's a great question. How many Republicans voted for Obamacare? I don't know. I'll look it up. Let's look it up. Well, $17 appears to be the answer. This is a brutal way to stream, I gotta say. I'm gonna have to. Oh, there. We'll do this. 17 is the answer.
The nays are 196. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Care Act subsidies. After a group of GOP lawmakers.
I do not care for that AI nonsense, that weird voiceover. But if I thought that was C-SPAN at first. That screen right there is really the only relevant thing. So it looks like 17 Republicans sided with Democrats to extend Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare subsidies. I think it was a vote down party lines when it initially passed back in the day. But that was just the horrible legacy of Newt Gingrich. That was just the rabid partisanism of I'm sorry to say the Republican Party. But it was from the jump. It was Romney care. It was always a Republican invention. Not for me to decide. You guys are making references to things I'm saying, and I don't remember them. I do feel bad about that. I'll try to pay attention to myself more. Yeah, that's a good question. If you think you're safe from ICE, this is a good question. I do have a request, though. Oh yeah, look at that. I do have a request for everybody, especially for everybody in my chat. And this is gonna piss you off a little bit. And if you want, we can talk in the Discord after this. I'm gonna have just a little honk of marijuana because I am a fucking disgusting, stereotypical, gross wretch of a hippie. But my request is this: be nice as you possibly can, specifically to Larry Laffer. I like Larry. Larry and I disagree on basically everything, except for our love of Leisure Suit Larry. I feel that Larry is sincere. And I think he's got a point here. Even if you've been right about everything else and you're disagreeing with Larry, even if you're right about everything else, he does have a point. Lefties are mean. We are. We are prickly. We insult these people all the time. And we need to practice not being that way anymore. I know these folks aren't going to agree with us on most things, but I suspect that we can work together because on some things, the problem, frankly, is the centrists. Case in point, I promise you MAGA disagrees with 17 of those folks. But Larry, let me explain where we're coming from. Because if we're going to make progress, it can't just be us making concessions. We're being, first of all, appreciate the fact that we are being awfully damn mature. We are holding back a lot. All these folks, I've opened this up. I've changed my format. I've taken great pains to allow some right-wing folks in here. And how do you see them behaving, Larry? Earnestly. How do you see these folks behaving? Do they seem like they're trying to have reasonable conversations? You and I have. I have verified with interactions with you that you are a serious man. At least you're willing to be a serious man when we're talking about serious things. But does it seem like they've been trying to have earnest conversations with me? Or does it seem like they've been avoiding direct questions I've been asking? Generally, not taking this all that seriously. Then there's the other thing to consider. What the right wing is generally trying to do is attack. They are generally, their policies, their priorities as expressed, tend to target somebody and go after them. And with progressives, what you have at the core are people who have been attacked like that. So when these folks are interacting with you and they hear you say the things that you're about, they're not just responding for themselves. They're responding with their loved ones in mind. I have multiple trans friends, and I have to bite my tongue, not to say very harsh things to people who just sort of casually say the worst things you can imagine about friends of mine, calling them pedophiles. The irony, despite supporting, well, any politician. It's really, as the Epstein files have proved, they all just need to burn in hell. But regardless, saying the worst things you can imagine about actual friends of mine, like people I play video games with and poker and watch movies with, go fishing. I don't actually fish anymore. I'm too lazy, but you know what I'm saying. So it's not the same when you say giving back the same love. Progressives are acting in defense of others, and usually at their own personal expense because they are principled. I'm just saying that so you understand us while we are trying to understand you. At the same time, though, you are a rare jewel, Larry. You are somebody with the balls to go into a stream that you know doesn't agree with you and to hear them out and to be serious about your beliefs and why you believe them, so on and so forth. And for that, I'm willing to do a hell of a lot. So, in general, I ask my audience to have grace and patience, but especially with Larry. It seemed like y'all were having a reasonable conversation. That's cool, but especially with Larry, I want y'all to extend every courtesy you can, and be sweet as peas. Wait, sweet as pie? Is there such a thing as sweet peas? I'm not Southern. Just be as kind as you can, and try your best to get along because I want to talk to Larry. I want opportunities to talk to him. I want to understand how he thinks about the world because I am convinced that my overarching theory, at least going into 2026, is that we're being lied to, mostly by the centrists, by the way. We are being lied to by people that profit from us having misconceptions about each other. I haven't seen anybody come in here from the opposite side of the aisle who had an accurate view of what I believe. Sometimes, if you squint a little bit, are they vaguely aware of things I believe? But you know what? What are the odds that only goes one way? What are the odds that I don't have an accurate view of what they believe? For example, I started off saying that one of the reasons we're so prickly is we are defending folks from, at the very least, insults, but generally actual legislation that results in actual violence against their physical bodies. But what if we find out we're being lied to about some of that, some of the time? What if we find out we are being strategically lied to at just the right moments to stop us from, I don't know, maybe talking about how a bunch of Democrats and Republicans are on the Epstein files? Hey, where are the rest of those Epstein files? Hey, did Dan Bongino just start his podcast back up? Well, I thought he was the deputy FBI director. Did he already release all of the Epstein files? Oh, he didn't. Oh, he didn't. Oh, it turns out he didn't. Well, don't worry, because after Trump was in office, Joe Biden was in office. So we got our guy in there, and I'm sure he released everything. And so Joe Biden didn't do shit about the diddlers? How about this? QAnon was broadly correct. With the specifics of their conspiracies. It was a bunch of nonsense. But I mean, are any of us going to deny that there was a powerful group of pedophiles running the U.S. government? I'm not. Nope. That appears to have been right on the GD nose. We have to figure it out. We got to talk to these folks. Y'all, I'm sorry. You got to talk to us too. You don't have a choice. It sucks. We're not going to get along at first. We might never get along. But we have to work with each other because we have to work against actual child molesters. I'm sorry that you got this for an ally. Ugh. It's not great. Nobody's thrilled with that. But it is what it is. Oh, did I see pink? Nice tie, Jake. Oh, a woman after my own heart. Thank you so much, Pinkerbell. I do quite like it. Plus, there's sugar snap peas. Oh, I'm so far behind in the chat. There's sugar snap peas that sometimes get called sweet peas. Okay. I did used to call my dog Sweet Pea from time to time. I wasn't sure if that was madness. Oh, what does Tia Fireball say? First off, the executive branch on the Department of and the Department of Justice are two different branches of government. Joe Biden did not want to step on the toes of different branch of government. He appointed the Attorney General. That's the thing. Looney Tunes. Asking a question. I will go back up and look at it. But where does the buck stop, Tia Fireball? I can't say that he didn't know about the Acosta agreement. He did. He could have given clear directions to his attorney general saying, look, these are the things I expect an attorney general to do. Can you do that? If the answer was yes, then okay, I'll appoint you. If the answer was no, I understand. And then go find somebody else. But he appointed Merrick Garland, and basically that was just like as a little head nod because Merrick Garland got his Supreme Court seat taken through Republican chicanery. So whether he did it intentionally to cover up for the diddlers or to just settle an old score, I don't care. But I'm not going to ask these people to hold their guy accountable while ignoring the absolute show. The facts on the ground when it comes to my guy. But the other thing is Joe Biden let tens of thousands of Palestinian children get murdered. So Joe Biden can suck every inch of my dick. Both of them. I don't care about protecting his reputation. Although I respect the fact that you are correct here. I mean, Joe Biden couldn't, to clarify that you are correct, Joe Biden could not give an order to say, release this thing or that. Looney Tunes, I'm looking for your question. Looney Tunes, did you suck Trump's dick, Paul? That's the question you wanted me to answer? First of all, I didn't know Trump's dick was named Paul. Second of all, I did not suck it. Sweet peas are a thing. Oh wait, we went over that. Damn it, Looney. You gotta re-ask your question. I will look for it in the chat. I'll sit here. You know what? I'm gonna pull up a video while I sit here. Waiting for Looney Tunes' question to be re-asked. Sorry, buddy. I just fully missed it the first time around. Can't find it now. Do re-ask your question. Please and thank you. Oh, no. Well, this is multiple protests all over the country. West Coast, Minnesota, and I think East Coast. Paul equals Paul. No, that was for Paul. All right, fair enough. Damn it, Looney Tunes, where? Oh, here's a question for discussion. How do you think Garland would have been as a Supreme Court justice? It's a great question. I think Merrick Garland would have been fine. I think he would have offered a straightforward interpretation of the law. I think he's one of those dudes that prides himself on being uninteresting. Like, I think he's aggressively uninteresting because I think he associates that with being serious, with being correct. Do I think he would have been of any use in particular? No. I think Merrick Garland showed that he doesn't have any courage. He doesn't have any ethics. He doesn't have any concern for us. So he would have ruled. And Looney, are you messing with me? I see this. I'm scrolling back up. There's the next one. And then I see A. And that's all I got, Looney. Yeah, the unfrosted mini wheats of people. Absolutely. But that cowardice, it's important to understand how that would have affected Supreme Court decisions. It means he would have gone with what was acceptable at the time. He wouldn't have taken a risk, even if he thought something was right. Like if he thought, well, clearly the correct thing would be the correct answer here is that the company is in the wrong when this company is getting sued by this individual. But I am Merrick Garland, a coward. And the commonly believed thing is that companies are right. So he would have sided with the big companies on everything that he could. He would have looked for excuses to. And he would have tried to pass that off as being fair and balanced. In other words, it's good that he wasn't in the Supreme Court. At Looney Tunes, where are your mods? If I was modding right now, I'd get rid of these damn trolls. Well, good that you're not. I've invited them here. Here's one thing I want to address. There is a difference between somebody who is incorrect and somebody who is trolling. Now, as I say that out loud, some of these folks definitely are trolls. And you're right. We probably do need to kick some of these folks out because they're not seriously approaching the conversation. But some of them are, and some of them can be coaxed into seriously approaching the conversation. Up until now, their experience with progressives have been whatever this is, the equivalent on the other side. Think about people bursting into their streams and being like, fascist, 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 go start a shotgun. Well, I sincerely hold those beliefs. It's not really helpful to the conversation, is it? One of us is going to have to be patient here. And that will involve knowingly allowing people into your stream that are going to disrupt and are going to make things awkward. But I'll tell you, there's an easy answer. If you're part of the regular Wicked community and you want to just watch these without being bothered, go to the horizontal stream. That's the standard stream I do anyway. I consider that the front row of the audience because I stream on a computer and it's designed for that initially. And that's where we built the audience initially. But when streaming vertical, you see, we have an opportunity to talk to people who, to be honest, I'm convinced more and more, the more this happens, we've been tricked into arguing with. And both of us, progressives and MAGA voters, we serve the role of an assistant manager. We are there for people to vent and scream at, but we don't actually control anything. We don't actually do the decisions that people are so mad about. I don't think that's an accident. I think that is by design, and I think it is going to be something that the ominous capital T they regrets immensely. Because I think we're going to start working together, and it's going to begin here on WYCD Wicked. That stands for what you can do. Ooh, Tia Fireball. I am a mod on. Holy gosh. Daniel X Star, Queen Lily Young, moved to Japan. Bet you're about to hear a big name. Benny Loco Loves. Oh, Benny Loco Loves. I am Trill Will. Political Pyro. V Media. The Angry Ginger. Oof. Love that guy. Off Jawagon. Buddy and Mike's pal. Street Smart Politics. Tia, thank you. That is a massive amount of work you're doing for helping the discourse. Thank you. Fuck the mods. Why would you say that? That's from that's not me saying that. It's a member of the audience. I will not allow you to dishonor yourself by playing that on the screen. Protest the death. Wait a minute. What would there be to protest? Curtis asking a question that I find very interesting. Did the left protest the death of Charlie Kirk? Did the left march in the streets demanding justice for Charlie Kirk's death? What would we protest? This is a serious question that I would like Curtis to answer. What would we be? What would the left be protesting? I don't think you're thinking of this in literal terms. I think you're intentionally choosing. Well, I don't know that actually, and maybe I'm wrong. What is it you think that we would be protesting? What would we be demanding? Did the left march in the streets demanding justice for Charlie Kirk's death? But justice from whom? For what? The left specifically was trying to make the conditions that led to Charlie Kirk's death impossible. Charlie Kirk, at the very moment of his death, was arguing for the conditions that led to his death. The last thing he said was in response to a question about gun violence in America and school shootings in America. And it was talking about the number of deaths that are shooting deaths for children in America, including school shootings. And he said, counting or not counting gang violence. He was trying to distract, as you know, is the job of these folks. He's trying to distract from the issue. Then he was shot to death in a school. The left would like people to get to get a license for a gun, just like you have to get a license for a car. The left would like there to be storage laws for guns, so that if you do own a gun, you must also own a place where you can store it, so that, say, your son Ethan Crumbly doesn't go steal your gun when you're at work and shoot up his school. The left has nothing to apologize for regarding Charlie Kirk's death. Charlie Kirk's fans, in my opinion, and with as much respect as I can muster, Charlie Kirk's fans did way more to cause his death. Because what happened? The same thing that always happens. A mentally unwell fella decided I was going to make a name for myself by killing someone. And they did. Congratulations. It's life in prison or death. But you get to be famous while you spend the rest of your life rotting. I'm not trying to be insensitive about this. It was a horrifying moment. But truly, what more could the left do? This is like the left was doing everything it possibly could to prevent Charlie Kirk's death, and Charlie Kirk was working against us. I just imagine he didn't know he would be the next victim, and he was a victim at the same time that 2 students in a college in another state were getting shot to death because nobody listens to the left. Nobody does what we want to do. Let's see. I'm looking for a response from Curtis. Yeah, and also Pink, 100% correct. I'm not. Yeah, the guy was picked up immediately. He was turned in by his roommate and family, is my understanding. Keith Williams, you are a weak beta male and relatively emotionally driven. Your opinions have low value. Do some reading, do some learning, and otherwise, shut the fuck up. I'm not sure where you're arriving at these conclusions from, but you sound like you've got some big feelings about it, and maybe do some reading, do some learning, and then come back and talk to me. Eh. Curtis, you are such an ignorant fool. Wait a minute. What did I get wrong? Sincerely, like I'm not. I know we are not on the same page. I know we don't agree. But tell me specifically where you think I'm wrong here. Because if similarly, like if we can't agree that Renee Good's death shouldn't have happened, even if you think ICE should be out and harassing people and all the things all the negative things I think about ICE, even if you fully agree with all that stuff, which you may or may not, you can agree that this was done poorly. This was an incompetent traffic stop. Should have never gotten to the point that it did. Shouldn't have been handled that way. You can acknowledge that. Similarly, we have to be able, I mean, it could not be more clear cut with Charlie Kirk's death. You know, it's the very thing that the left constantly talks about. It's the thing, like, it's one of the main differences between a genuine progressive and a Democrat is our feeling about gun regulation. A progressive pretty much thinks there has to be some manner of regulation for owning a firearm. Not that you're banned from it, but that we acknowledge that it's a dangerous tool. You must demonstrate that you can carry it responsibly. You must be able to demonstrate that you know where the safety is, that you don't walk around like this, or God forbid, like this. Oh. Fellas, I tell you, this new gun I have is just great. What I would call common sense legislation. But Charlie Kirk was arguing, I mean, he was trying to distract from the responsibility of gun owners at the very moment he was killed. By a madman on a roof. I'm not sure. I mean, you're saying you are an ignorant fool. That means you're disagreeing with me, basically, is what I'm getting. And you want to insult me, perhaps because you want me to start, hollering at you and for this to become a different conversation than a simple assessment of the facts. But I think we have to assess these facts. I'm curious to know where you think I got it wrong. I could steel man you if you like. Let me know if you'd like me to steel man your argument, and I would do that. Sorry, I'm not pathetic. I don't mean grinder dating sites. What? Oh, shit. There we go. Where's the justice for the National Guards that died? What about their family? Weren't left protesting that. They were just doing. We're talking about Charlie Kirk, though. And you seem to think that my assessment of the Charlie Kirk. Ooh. Your vertical stream was the first one in my feed when I swiped up. By the way, love it. Love it. But Curtis, the problem is that you don't remember what you said to me earlier. What did I say to you earlier? Because I was asking about Charlie Kirk just now. See, Charlie Kirk's that shouldn't have happened. Yeah, I agree that shouldn't have happened. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it should not have happened. I would argue that if people, I'm getting so many notifications. I would argue that if we had laws requiring gun owners register their guns, have a license to own a firearm, to store their guns in reasonably secure locations, it would not have happened. We have a major poisonous gun culture in the United States, and I don't mean people owning guns is the problem. I mean irresponsible gun owners are a plague upon this nation. I promise, if you are a gun owner and you are like an actual gun hobbyist, you go shooting from time to time, I promise you, you've got a friend who deep down you know should not own a firearm. I've been that friend. I used to own a gun. I actually, I would, I used to own a gun. I no longer keep it loaded because I have accidentally fired it a couple of times while drinking. You know, I'm just deep down, I'm a bit of a hillbilly by nature, and that's fine. We don't all have to be Rambo. Some of us can be irresponsible pricks. But we also shouldn't let those people carry around guns, lose them in parking lots, fucking give them to their kids who are clearly unstable. I can acknowledge that she would have stayed home and not joined an organization that interfered. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? We're talking about Charlie Kirk. We've been talking about Charlie Kirk. She might still be alive today in the sense that, like, ooh, if she made other different legal decisions, she wouldn't have been on that street at that time. But the problem wasn't what she did. The problem was what the guy with the gun did. The guy with the gun murdered her. She wasn't breaking any law that I'm aware of. He had no jurisdiction over her. But you'll notice we're not talking about Charlie Kirk, and you said I was wrong, and I just want to know the way I was wrong. To recap the point I made that you said I was wrong about. And I just want to hear from Curtis. Nobody else address Curtis, please and thank you. The point I was making that you responded. One second. This dude. You called me an ignorant fool after I said that Charlie Kirk was not the left's fault because the left did as much as it possibly could and is still doing everything in its power to make the conditions of his death impossible for the next person. We were trying to avoid that exact thing that happened to Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk himself was arguing against somebody who I presume has similar political beliefs to me at the moment of his death. Charlie Kirk, when answering a question about the children who die every year by gun violence, including school shootings in the United States, said counting or not counting gang violence to try to do a common tactic, which you will notice has happened in this very conversation about this very thing, to try to have a different argument instead of the one that they are not comfortable having. So I don't disagree about me being an ignorant fool. I think you're spot on there. You got it. But I am correct on this. I'm confident that I'm correct on this, at least. But then again, I am foolish, so I tend to be wrong. So I need you to explain to me how I am wrong about this. At least, where do you see me being wrong about this? Why do you think it is the left's fault? Or has your mind changed? Do you now think it is perhaps maybe not the left's fault after all? And would you like me to steelman your argument? Because I think I know what you've been told, and I think I can present that in a way you would agree with. But do you stand by this? Do you still think I'm an ignorant fool? Do you still think I'm wrong about this? Let me know. We can move on if you want to, but let me know. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Jake, I'm learning something from you tonight. I hope it is not how long a person ought to go without urinating, because there might be some long-term bladder damage. Oh, you got the dirt road and everything, Tinkerbell. I love it. GOB, this is a good question. Oh, wait, but we're going to go back to it later. But I'm talking about how the wrongful death, I'm talking about all the wrongful death that's occurred by the left. You see, the thing is, what you're doing is you're saying all these things. And then when I go to a specific example that's uncomfortable, like, for example, the first one we were talking about, you say, but not that tree. It's the forest I'm talking about. It's the whole thing. But if I go to another one and another one and another one, you're going to eventually fall back and say, well, it's just something else that we're talking about. It's always something else. And that's not a phenomenon that's unique to you. That's just a way we've been told to talk about politics because we are afraid, I think, of being wrong. I don't know if we think we're going to be embarrassed. I don't know what it is exactly that they've managed to get into our brains, but there's nothing wrong with being wrong. In fact, I find it very freeing, to be honest, and I get a little thrill out of challenging my own beliefs. My beliefs have changed many, many times. They've changed publicly. I've discovered I was wrong about long-held beliefs right here on camera. But you have to personally yourself, whether I convince you of one thing or not, what I'm actually hoping to instill in you here tonight is a curiosity about your own beliefs. You yourself have to care about whether or not what you're saying is true or not. I think let's leave it there and think about that for a little bit because I want to talk about this. Job says, so you don't care about the Second Amendment or shall not be infringed. You are happy to infringe. So you were anti-constitutionalist. Do you see yourself making a lot of big leaps there? And a lot of assumptions that I don't think the information available to you supports. I see where you got there, but let me clarify my point because it is my job to say how I feel about things, and I've clearly failed in that regard. No, I didn't totally screw up. I don't see a conflict with the Second Amendment at all by requiring a license to own a gun. First of all, you are quoting the last part of the sentence, and I note rather tellingly not the first part. Let's pull up the Second Amendment. The very first four words, a well-regulated militia. Well-regulated. That's basically my whole argument, but I will now expand upon it just to be clear. Regulation means laws, means policies, means standards set. Let's say the whole thing just so I don't get accused of not completing the sentence. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, if you have to get a license, you are allowed still to get the thing you need the license for. I don't think licenses for guns should cost any money at all. I think a wise person in your neighborhood, your community, whatever, should be appointed by either vote of your city council or local whatever. But basically, every town should have a armor or a gunsmith, I guess. Somebody who gets a stipend from the government to teach people the basics of gun safety. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Don't fucking walk around with one in the chamber. Put the safety on when you're not using it. Don't put your finger on the trigger if you don't intend to shoot the thing. You know, stuff that you cannot just assume people learned through the grapevine, but stuff that you have to verify, at least verbally, that a human being knows about the operation of firearms. I don't see that conflicting with the Second Amendment at all, because we also have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you interpret somebody's Second Amendment rights to mean that an absolute frothing at the mouth lunatic can be given an assault rifle and they live next door to me and they fire that thing randomly at their wall and the bullets go through the wall and through my head, that interferes with my right to life. So yeah, as part of the well-regulated militia part of the right to bear arms, I think it's right there in the Constitution that we are in fact requiring basic responsibility. Now let me turn it around on you. Why do you not think we should require training, or at the very least some degree of tracking of ensuring that our guns don't wind up in madmen's hands? Do you not agree that we are the country of school shootings? That we are a deeply plagued peoples? That we have not figured out the safe way to own guns? Right now, around the world, Americans do not have a reputation as being very good with guns. We have a reputation of being irresponsible pricks, basically, and well-earned. We let our children die rather than have tedious conversations about regulations. I think if we put in reasonable regulations so that it is necessary for gun owners to demonstrate that they know where the safety is and why it's there on a gun, it would have basically no impact on your lives. I think you would not notice it even slightly. Oh, we got an at WYCD. That took me a second, Leprechaun. What are your thoughts on the fact that Stalin, Hitler? All right, I don't know what's coming. I suspect it's related to the gun thing, but when I see those names, I have to tell you, by default, I've started to just assume that the thing that follows that list of names will end up not being true when I Google it. We'll find out. Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot, Idi Amin, Mao, Maduro, and others. Why would you include Maduro on that list? All disarmed their population before leading them directly to slaughter. So Maduro didn't lead his population to slaughter. I think you've included that name because in your world, that's one of the people you're supposed to do little digs at. But it's just not accurate. It's not helping you make your point. It's not going to make you take in, more seriously. I would agree Maduro probably stole the last election. That's bad, sure. He does not slaughtering his people. It's just not. I'm not sure where you heard that. But let's take the ones that I know you meant to say. Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot. Did Stalin, Hitler, and Pol Pot disarm their populations? Ah. Okay. So they did not. Well, let's pull this. I don't know that I can. Okay. Well, they did not disarm their populations entirely. That is, they disarmed certain members of their populations. So Hitler disarmed the Jews. Stalin, I don't know who. I imagine the Bolsheviks. Pol Pot, whoever he was angry at. I would not say that's the same thing as blanket legislation that applies to everybody. And I think the reason's just, self-evident. When you disarm one group specifically within a country, it doesn't matter if you're talking about guns or money. You're talking about a power imbalance. Yeah, when you take away the power of one group, it doesn't surprise me at all that these people did that. Sure. But this is what I'm discussing is a fundamentally different thing. And people that have told you otherwise, people that have said when they presented this to you as though all these folks disarmed their whole population, they're willfully lying to you. They are trying to deceive you, and they are trying to get you to help deceive others. Probably the first person who told you this, probably they didn't even know that they were deceiving. You might be the second, third, or fourth recipient of this misinformation, but it is misinformation. And it is there to confuse you. I just realized that I should have been pointing like that, because in the horizontal thing it's below. Anyway, that's my reading of it. But I mean, what I just said could be true, and I could still be wrong about it being a good idea to have a gun license. But the broader point that I was making in the first place is just that progressives believe that there is a legislative path to solving the problem of mass shootings in America, random acts of violence like this. And I further believe there is both a legislative and a cultural path to do it. I would like, if you've got a grandfather in your community with a load of guns in his home because he loves them, I think that's the exact sort of person that we should have paid a stipend by the government. Say, well, I don't know, $2,000 a month. How about that? And for that $2,000 a month, so only $24,000 a year, what he does is anybody in your community that wants to learn how to shoot. By the way, right now, you don't even have that. Right now, your right to bear arms is not supplemented at all. It's not supported by the government. I'm not even talking about restricting. I'm talking about making it easier for you to be a good gun owner. We right now, under that scenario, what we could do is have that person available to teach people how to safely operate the thing you have a right to. You see? Now, you might not agree with me. That's a bigger government way of doing things. But my ideas have been pitched to you like I'm talking about, number one, disarming you, and for some reason we're talking about that. And number two, like it's in conflict with what you're trying to do. But it's because somebody profits from us arguing. What I've suggested doesn't even disarm. It actually pays a gun advocate to enjoy being a gun advocate. What I'm talking about gives people the opportunity to be good with firearms instead of just having them. But the company that makes money getting you all riled up, they don't care if you're competent with their firearms. They don't care if you blow your toe off. They just want you to buy them, you see. That's always the argument. Nazis didn't take away guns, they expanded it. Interesting. Defending the Nazis' rights to remove said guns from possible enemies and dissidents. I mean, I'm not making these arguments with an agenda. I'm not even competent enough to know if this is actually a useful way to ensure people get trained. This is just my broad thoughts. But I think no matter what I tell you, if you are determined to think that I'm trying to screw you over in some way, that's all you'll ever see. Let me know what I can do to convince you. I'll think about it. I will sincerely give it some thought. If I'm honest, I don't think you all are being honest. I think most of the folks, with the exception of Mr. Laffer, and GOB perhaps, but I think most of the folks I've talked to knew damn well that no matter what I said, their goal was going to be to try to disagree, to try to distract, so on and so forth. And I don't think all of you are belong to an organization that's threatened to bring down or determined to bring down America or whatever. I think it's just the way we've been taught we're supposed to behave. And I also think we're a bunch of patsies. I think we are all falling for a con when we argue like this. But we don't have to. At some point, you, me, your guys, my guys, your gals, my gals, we're going to realize, hopefully collectively and hopefully all at once or just thereabouts, we're going to realize that the people who have been harming us are not in the room with us, and they never have been. And the people who they tell us are harming us are the people we need to ally with. And when we realize that, it is my sincere hope that we get together, we put all of the 0.01% of Americans in a room that have been screwing us, and we fuck them to death. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. I'll see you next time.